Hello. Values and principles seems to be the theme of tonight. And don't think I'll think of you. Most of our things are influenced by others. What better entertainment than intentional and unconscious change? What? Okay, so every once in a while I get one of those like notes. Maybe they're unique to their own space, or maybe they're just cute reflections of a moment I had that I just wanted to capture, and that's I'm still not very close to it. But it does sound arrogant. Don't think I'll think of you. I don't know what I was fucking talking about, man. But then here, most of our things are influenced by others. What better entertainment than intentional and unconscious change? So here I'm talking about unconscious intentional change and unconscious change as entertainment. So it's fancy. I wrote an article. I don't know if I actually like small. I wrote an article, but I didn't publish it. It's my goal was to discuss the pursuit of the fail, which is a video I did a couple of weeks ago. I could find it here somewhere, but fuck it. So it's not about thinking of the individual because the attachment is not really to the individual. And a family member, a very personal family member, mentioned it a week ago or 2 weeks ago. We were having a discussion, and I was saying that she claimed she fell for you, and it's an emotional thing, right? And he was like, no, she fell for the profession that I'm in. And when he said that, man, I felt his pain, I felt his frustration. Uh, there's nothing for me to forgive, but let's just say he's the way he is because of how he was treated as much as she is the way she is because how he treated her, right? So nobody's at fault. It's just like not really strong communication skills. An expression of emotions is not really communication skills, man. I'm tired of this shit. It's like people are always kind of like, it's okay to be vulnerable. Fuck yeah, but like, why? What's the point? If you're just being vulnerable for the sake of vulnerable, then that's your entertainment, right? Anyways, I snapped on that one. But most of our things are influenced. Again, this is 2 months old. What happened with me is not even like a week old or a month old, even. Most of our things, most of our changes are influenced by others. And that's 100% true because like self-actualization versus self-realization. When you're self-realizing, what you're doing is you're kind of reflecting on whatever it is that you have. Well, the sad part about it is you're very opinionated about your reflection. So like to truly self-realize, you kind of have to not think and allow your thoughts to kind of like dissipate on their own. Like if there's merit for their existence, they'll exist. If there's no merit for their existence, they will not exist. But so most of our change is influenced by others. And what better entertainment than the intentional and unconscious change? So effectively, when I'm meeting somebody, am I not meeting them in order to explore their experience on this world and have that impact me? And if that's not the case, again, like you could decide a spiritual experience as your go-to goal. You could decide a social experience as your go-to goal. And a social experience could literally be this is what happened the other day, or this is what happened here, or have you heard the news? But then if you're discussing show smooth, that's a very nerdy way to approach it. I fucking love it. So if you're actually like interacting with people, you could choose spiritually. Like my goal is to change in this level. My goal is to change mentally. My goal is to change professionally. My goal is to change practically, artistically, activity based, sportsy, elementally, technique wise, artistically. What's the word for health, man? Or like sports, or like, because there's wellness. Wellnessly? Yeah, man. I wanted them all to be like kind of like artistically, socially, professionally, but I can't seem to get the word for like sports or like activities. Activitily. All right, whatever, man. I have fun with this kind of stuff because like English is not my first language. So like full disclosure, I really like have created a few words just to use. They make sense. I'm sure you heard some of them. But so I think it's arrogant for us to kind of claim that other people will think of us when what they're in love with or what they like or what they cared for was the environment we created. And I wrote this for myself. I didn't write it for anyone. I wrote this quote for myself because the idea behind it is like, I'm not really missing the person, but that person is actually the trigger of the environment that I'm missing. So I'm missing the environment. And that's where I see the change. That's where I felt the change. That's where I engaged with the change. And it is a lot easier for us to notice that it's about time we change when it comes to how others interact with us or we interact with others. Like it takes a bit more awareness for you to interact with others and realize that you have to change. But it's always others that kind of like trigger change. And I think it's the entertaining part behind it is when you're approaching a new person or a person you already know and kind of like going, I wonder how I will kind of like, how I'm going to come out from hanging out with this person. Would our relationship be closer? Would our relationship be brighter, wider? Would our relationship consistently be the same? Would I learn something new? Would I experience something new? And I think all of these are kind of like as unique to the individual as they are to the scenario itself. And if every time you meet the person, you're meeting them as if you've just met them, then you kind of allow yourself to explore how you feel about them at the moment. But most of what we do is we attach the environment to the people. And then basically we chase the people that have changed to provide the same environment for us. And it's funny because like some people change every like 10, 15 years if they go through any change at all. And some people, like I, for example, I feel like I've been kind of like very consistent with how my thought process is shifting, changing, adapting, and like attempting new stuff. But I'm making it a point. I'm driven in that direction, right? But a lot of other people kind of have a lot more things to focus on. So the way they approach things is completely a bit off or different. I don't know. When I say off, it's just like as I can't understand how they're processing things, right? I don't mean it's off as in it's wrong. It's just the way they process is not something I'm able to like understand, or at the very least, like I'm not able to comprehend from my standpoint. But I don't know. There's a certain way for. I think this note is probably for me to kind of be just remind myself to not actually be arrogant when it comes to other people because there are in terms of exploring the world around us, like I think human beings kind of find a way to create paths and they try their best to kind of like normalize these paths as like the points of which you interact with. But I'm a genuine believer that everyone has their own path. Yet every once in a while, when you have to prove your thoughts or the way you think or your logic to somebody, you practically have to explain what you kind of practically have to explain yourself in accordance to what's normal for us to be able to kind of like question and balance, which I really don't think it's fair. And by doing that, what we're truly doing is like hypothetically recreating an environment where all of us could agree could agree on, and then basically use that environment in order for us to like explain how we are, or at the very least explain why we are the way we are. And I don't think that's fair. But in all fairness, I think overimposing on people actually puts them in that state. And that sometimes you're not really overimposing, you're kind of like trying to push them into a different state, maybe. I don't know. Because like if you're asking enough questions, then they start moving regardless of you. But if you sit there and you kind of point out that they have to move, you're kind of like imposing as well. And it feels there's a lot of ways for me to learn from just how I can consciously approach change as the entertainment that I, because like it's really fun to kind of like look at the day differently. It's really fun to kind of try something differently. And that is change. Change makes you do that kind of stuff. Like it influences you in that kind of way. And I'm very excited to see how this kind of like expresses itself in the future, I guess. Because the same way I kind of think of others, and I'm trying to think of the environments that they create, I'm also creating an environment for others. And I have to consider that environment. Perception versus perspective. It's a video.